Just when you thought it was over, we started it over. Just a different chapter, but still part of the story. Spirit of a patriot, but the heart of a soldier. If you wasn't part of the grind, you can't be part of the glory. We right here, we ain't going nowhere. It's your worst nightmare. We back and they all scared. Every year is our year. The defense is top tier. Whenever you see that red and blue, it's a new era. They too scared of us. I don't know who said it was over, but they lied. The truth never miss, kicking down the door like who let him in. We been grinding and we ain't worried about the small talk. We big timers.
Yeah, can't believe it, we ain't leaving. Yeah, we achieving, can't be beaten. Say it loud, say it proud from the top of my lungs. Hometown, second crown, you ain't trying with us. Around this time, you really can't deny. You can't run, you can't hide when the Patriot comes.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the Patriots Friday Night Light podcast. We are back. I'm here with Dog Nation. We just came off the Bills game, which I was there.
For sure.
Like we were kind of saying off camera, no expectations, expected to get blown out, 50-0. And we only lost by 3, and we scored 3 touchdowns on offense. It was actually a really freaking good game to be at. We were like right next to the end zone, so we were kind of right in the mix of it, really in the, surrounded by Bills fans the whole time.
Which end zone?
So when it started, we were in the end zone where the Pats were going to.
Okay.
Which when we were tailgating with a bunch of Bills fans, and they got in late, so we missed the first freaking touchdown. But I guess with the camera, we're on the left side.
Okay, because I was asking to see if you got a good look at that fucking play near the goal line, that backwards pass. That's what I was asking for. Cause the right.
No,
there.
we were on the other side. Yeah,
Oh,
thank God.
God.
That would have been so embarrassing. I could not deal with that. But we saw the Hunter Henry touchdown, and then we saw the second James Cook touchdown on that end.
Okay.
But, yeah. Awesome game. I thought Drake did really well. Right, that bonehead play where we kind of threw it backwards. I think if that was a forward pass, we would have won the game. It was. I think we played solidly over well. It was just a couple of bonehead mistakes, which is kind of the story in every game. But I think overall we actually did really well. We drove the ball downfield. We kind of stopped Josh Allen from, running around doing his thing, right? That James Cook touchdown that was, over 50 yards, whatever, just a few broken tackles, right? James Cook is just that guy. Besides that, I think we played a really solid, smart game.
I feel like with us and the Bills, now it isn't as big of a talent gap as some would make it seem. Mm-hmm. Where the Bills seem more just like Josh Allen centric, which is the reason why, for whatever reason, I'm not taking nothing away from his season, but why they're trying to speak on him as an MVP front runner when you see his numbers compared to Lamar's, then you're like, what the hell is going on here? Like, it isn't exactly the closest, you know what I mean? As far as like, especially like touchdowns. Passing yards, they're a little close, but Lamar's over him in that. Rushing yards, Lamar's over him in that. Overall touchdowns, even from a passing touchdown standpoint, I think Lamar already has like 40 passing touchdowns. Josh Allen maybe, 26, 25, 26.
Yeah, and then there's those bunch of rushing touchdowns.
Lamar Jackson, 4 interceptions. Josh Allen, I think he about 5 or 6 picks, somewhere around there.
Yeah, has 3, right?
No, it's about 5 or 6, I think. It's right around there.
Is on pace to have the second highest QBR in NFL history in a season.
You're talking about Lamar, right?
Yeah, Lamar. And the first was Rodgers, I think, in 2011. Mm-hmm. But Lamar has an extra 600 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Lamar's putting on a show right now. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, he's playing. He's playing unbelievable. And it's just crazy because Not to mention, just a few years ago, the Ravens, when they franchise tagged him, they signed him to a non-exclusive franchise tag, which means any other team could have came in to attempt the contract, but the Ravens had a chance to match it. I
Right.
thought the Patriots at that time. I thought the Patriots were going to go for it, but I'm grateful for what we got. You know what I mean? Lamar Jackson's Lamar Jackson, but you know what I mean? I'm not going to say be like, oh, well, I want to go back in time and want Lamar Jackson when Drake May's already here, and I see an upside. You know what I mean? See the upside of the future there because Drake May, consider he belongs. You know, he belongs. Like, and he's the type of player that you could see and watch that now you can get a good analysis of the team because you do have adequate quarterback play. So you can get a good assessment of the team now. And it does show that there's some coaching problems. And obviously, you know, the talent deficit on the offensive side of the ball as far as like receiver goes. Kayshawn Booty had the game that I was, you know, looking for from him this season. I
Yep.
was hoping he got the extra 5 yards so he could have went over 100. But he did his thing, and honestly, he's been the most consistent receiver, you know,
Yeah,
going
it's been a
forward
breakout
for us.
season for him. Definitely. Yeah, he's been. I mean, at least deep ball wise, he's been the best receiver we've had.
Right.
I think kind of clutch time, he's been the guy to go to, right? I mean, there was the play in the game where Drake ran out to the right and kind of threw on the run, threw it right in the middle of the field, and Kayshawn kind of ducked down and caught the ball. It was a low ball, and he was able to kind of grab it. I feel like time and time again, in 20 plus yards kind of catches, he's been the guy, and
Right.
it's been fun to watch because he was supposed to be this diamond in the rough guy in the draft. We got super low, had attitude problems, so he dropped, and he hadn't really been doing much to his first year, but now he's kind of blown out with Drake May. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah. And one thing I always just didn't like about the Patriots is that putting a player in the doghouse and he literally has to go in all season. You know, Bill used to do it a lot where some players I'll be like, okay, we drafted this guy. I'm not seeing him out there. Not seeing him out there. Like, even like with Tyquan, when he wasn't hurt, it was even still like he showed flashes when he first came in. It was like, okay, maybe that fixed the red zone problem and everything else. But then it's just like he was never, we were never really seeing him on the field like that. Booty last year, we really weren't seeing him on the field like that after that. He didn't get the 2 feet down twice in that game
Right.
versus Philly. You
Yep.
know what I mean? And that just goes to show that football does come down to a handful of plays. So, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, you know, another receiver coming in that could be an alpha and move Kayshawn to maybe that wide receiver 2 role. I feel like that could be, you know, a pretty good role for him if you can get a dominant alpha receiver in there because, you know, the salary cap and everything, we don't want to be one of those teams that just throws a crazy amount of money against the wall. Because, you know, like I was explaining to you in our DMs, like that's stuff that I'm studying now and everything. And you can see the jump in the pay over a lot of these positions over the last couple of years. And wide receiver probably seen the biggest jump out of anybody. So you typically you don't like Cincinnati drafted both their receivers. Philly, obviously, they brought in AJ Brown. You know, what I mean, they had just paid Devonta Smith and all of that. We'll see. Hopefully, for their sake, that turns into a Super Bowl. But I don't. I've yet to see a roster that really like paid out a lot of players. Maybe the Rams. The Rams in
Yeah, which now it's been
they
a
were the
collapse.
first
I mean,
one.
that's what we did in 2021, right? We went 10-7, paid a bunch of players to come in. Next year, it just fell apart, and then now we're where we are. It's usually like that year there's a spike, and then
Yep.
after that there's a big drop. I mean,
I
the
did
Rams
hear
were-
that before. I did
Yeah.
hear that analysts was going over that. I wish I believe it was a Ranger podcast with Bill Simmons. I wish I could find that specific episode, but it did say something about teams that spend north of a certain amount in free agency. They do experience that jump that year where they make the playoffs and everything. Then the next year it just goes totally bad because not only looking at us, Look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. They literally did the same thing we did the following season. They went out and spent a shitload of money on like Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
So they brought a bunch of guys in, and they got better that year. But since last year, I don't believe they made the playoffs last year, and obviously this year has been completely terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So the money part of it definitely does matter. But after watching Caleb last night, I was never really too high on him coming into the league anyway. But considering that I see he has all these shiny toys around him, but either he's holding the ball too long or his offensive line, like it's just trash. That's why I already look at going into next year. I'm not even like crazy high on some of the tackles as like maybe some people are, but you got to take offensive line there. Like it's just we can't do it because to try to come in with a new shiny toy, and if it looks anything remotely close to what's going on in Chicago, that and like I said, I do believe a lot of it is Caleb as well.
Right. And like that's kind of like the opposite of what we were talking about, like the money, right? They spend a bunch of money to get players, but there hasn't been an increase. And it's right, the offensive line has been terrible. But to kind of compare it to Drake and the Patriots, right? We obviously have the worst offensive line in the league, just rating
I think
across
they
the
do.
board.
Honestly, I think they do. After what I saw last night, oh my
It's
God.
it's at least close, right? Just season wise. But you see, right, Caleb is the most sacked quarterback in the league, and it's like almost not even close. Right. And then you see Drake May, who he doesn't really get sacked all too much, maybe once or twice a game. Caleb's averaging like 4 times a game. Right. So you can kind of see the difference with like, okay, the offensive lines are kind of similar, but the quarterback play is clearly different because one is just getting pummeled. And then the other one's able to kind of escape the pocket, right? You see the graphs all the time of like, the best quarterbacks on the run.
Lamar and Josh
Right.
Allen. Yep.
Right. You see them there. Like, so there's clearly a difference. And that would make me concerned as a Bears fan, just kind of seeing that kind of difference. But
yeah,
it
looks like to me, like I said, somebody wanted to debate last night. I respect his opinion. I like the guy, but like I told him, like at what point, because they run these narratives on TV and everything else. It's the same thing that was going on with the Mac Joneses of the world and everything. Some of these players that they coddle. You rather go after the coach, and I'm not even saying Eberflus was a good choice, but a bunch of bad choices in the room is going to end up in a bad situation. But even with him, the fact that coming into the year, Drake May needs to sit, to do this, to do that. Y'all were the ones saying that. And Caleb was supposed to be this perennial franchise-changing quarterback. Now, can he turn that around? Yeah. Like, we only talking about it, 15, 16 games into his career. But it shouldn't look that bad because it's on the same verge as Anthony Richardson. It is literally on that same verge that he didn't even go over 100 yards until maybe the fourth quarter last night. I guarantee if you go back and look at how many games he failed to get 200 yards or how many times, how many games that he might have took over 5 sacks. We sacked him 9 times. I believe he got sacked 7 times last night. So, yeah, we could sit here, push at the offensive line. Yeah, that has something to do with it, but there's also a stat out there that says he takes the most sacks when his offensive line has a pass block win rate. So, I don't want that to be us because Drake, the obvious difference between the two is one knows when to get the ball out of his hand and he doesn't seem to look flustered. Drake May when the blitz comes versus Caleb, the moment action is on, it's a split second hit deer in headlights, and then he tries to exit the pocket to make an off-structure play. Everybody's not going to be like that.
What I've noticed really with Caleb, he always has 2 hands on the ball. He never has one arm ready to throw the ball. He's always kind of here. So then he has to go from here to here and then throw it. Right?
That's a good observation. I didn't even look at that. But, now I'm thinking about it as I see him leaving the pocket and yeah, you're right. That was
right, and that takes more time. Obviously, it protects the ball, but if you're in the pocket and you're trying to throw the ball, you want it to be ready.
Right.
You don't want to have 2 hands on the ball. He's he snaps the ball, right? He catches it, but he keeps it there the whole time. And like that's gonna slow him down, and that makes him not want to throw, right? He's not in the position to throw. He's in the position to kind of hold on to the ball. And I think that kind of slows everything down for him. So I've kind of noticed that. And then with Drake, I've seen him, he kind of keeps it back a little bit more, is in a little bit more position to throw. And like you said, he either runs and throws or he just throws from the pocket.
Right.
He's always been very good at that.
Yeah, Caleb, and like I said, I've seen multiple passes, whether last night or in multiple games where I did watch him, where it's sprayed off, and you know what I mean, he's off target. And like I just simply keep telling everybody, he is too short in the pocket.
Right.
Regardless of what you try to tell, listen, there's physics to this too. I understand he has all the talent in the world. There's a difference between the college game and the NFL game. I've watched him miss wide open throws repeatedly, whether it's a deep ball or everything else. It's because he's throwing with anticipation of where he thinks his guy's going to be at. Caleb don't fully see what's going on down the field. That's why he's overthrown a lot of balls and things like that. Versus where somebody like Drake May, a good 6'4", and when he's dropping back, he can see over the line. And Drake May obviously has that arm talent and everything else that virtually any throw on the field, you can ask him to make. You can ask him to make a tightrope throw over the middle of the field to a dig route, to somebody cutting in maybe 15, 20 yards in. He'll hit it. Caleb has the talent to do it, but will he see it? That's the problem. You know, is he gonna see it? So, like I said, I didn't even get in too much into them because, like I said, I'm happy. I am ecstatic with who we have because I can see the jump from him. Coaching staff, I don't even want to really even get. I feel like we're beating a dead horse with them, and it just seems like
we all know what's
going to be
going on.
back next year, and you know, I just don't. Like I said, it's early to tell, but I don't see no signs pointing up where they feel like, oh, well, it's going down to the end of the season. Well, yeah, we played Buffalo. Well, I don't want to get used to taking those moral victories because we done fell so on hard times that we feel encouraged about a 3-point. What was it? 3 points, right?
Mm-hmm.
3-point loss to Buffalo when we were up by 14 points from them in the first quarter. And then we were stuck on that 14. You understand what I'm saying? Like things like that. Like I'm not trying to take the credit away from the team at all. But, you know, things like that. Like why is it that we couldn't continue to score? Because it doesn't look like it was a completely penalized game by the Patriots. It was a relatively clean game. But it's like when Buffalo made their adjustments, where was ours? And then the game completely changed when you called that play. And I'm arguing with people like I never seen that done at the goal line. I seen it multiple times last night from the Bears and the Seahawks. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's an extension of the run game when you can't particularly run the ball. But even still, then I'm just thinking like, man, that's not a smart decision to run that play there. Like I don't give a damn what's going on.
No, you need the ball in someone's hands. You don't want to throw the ball backwards, have it be wide open. You're at the 1 yard line, and there's a free guy coming at you, right? You want the ball in someone's hands so that they can run straight forward. Just get away from the end zone. You don't want to put the ball up in the air and let anyone get it for a couple seconds, right? That it was just kind of a bonehead play call there.
And then when I seen, I gotta look at it. I gotta see what exactly the Alex Van Pelt, because I actually shared it and somebody were like, what the fuck did he say?
Yeah, he was talking about that
doesn't make sense.
The route wasn't done right or the blocking wasn't done right, and like
okay,
like the play was ran incorrectly, not like the call was bad.
Yeah, like so it's like ball came out too quick. I'm looking at the play. And I can tell you this right now, the wide receivers already started getting in the blocking motion the moment Drake Bay dropped back.
Well, the linebacker was on Mondre. Like, if he waited like half a second, I mean, the linebacker was already there, right? There was nothing. Like the linebacker just intercepted it. You know what I mean?
I'm like literally looking at the play, and I don't see what he means that it came out too quick. and that the running back ran the play too wide. Like I'm not understanding
Yeah,
how
maybe.
wide he was supposed to run that because, like I said, both inside receivers were already gearing up to engage in
Yeah,
blocks the moment Drake May snapped his feet. Yeah, they're not even running routes. Ramondre
yeah,
Stevenson ran out. He doesn't even, bro. He might have got maybe 2 to 3 yards outside of Drake May, and he threw that ball. So, like I
yeah.
said,
He probably meant more like it was supposed to be more forward rather than out. But like the out part of it seemed to be appropriate. But I
yeah,
think
because
he's just saying that he needed to be forward. He was just
but
trying to get
going,
away from the fact that it was a backwards pass.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, okay, oh, okay, all right, I get it. All right, now that you put it like that, I can see where he might have felt like Ramondre needed to be had Jacobs hit that cut block because I can see that there was a little opening there.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's just me trying to take a mental picture of it. It's just still like in that game and in that situation, the way that the defense played and everything, I feel like you try to get yourself out of that situation by playing smart football because you're not in a position where you can turn it over and think you could just get yourself out of it, especially with that type of quarterback that is that damn gutsy on the sidelines. Like I'm sitting here, my girl, she watches every game with me. So like at this point, she probably could be a coach. But seriously though,
Mm-hmm.
like I was I was telling her like Josh Allen, I knew he was gonna throw a deep pass. Like I'm like, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
Because when
So
the game is slow, he doesn't, he wants to make those type of plays. He wants to ooze and the odds. That's just his personality. That's what he's grew accustomed to. So
yeah.
at some point in the game, as good as Josh Allen is, there's gonna be a handful of mistakes. Are
Yep.
you going to capitalize on them?
Right. That's when we need
Devontae
to get smart.
Marple interception, great interception, stupid choice.
Yep.
I
So
look,
I was in that end zone. So that was the end zone that I was at. Before the play, I'm like, he's not throwing to Gonzo. There's no way he's that dumb. Right. Best corner in the league. There's no chance. And I just see him with was it Shakir that he was throwing to?
yeah,
Right. All the way coming back. And I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna throw the ball to Gonzo. Throws it, and then Marte intercepts it. I was like, yep, that's what you get. But then why did he need to go down? You're
right.
like it in the end zone. What are you doing? Like either you're just gonna go or you stop and you take a knee. You're in the back of the end zone. You should have just taken a knee. And it
Wait,
screwed us because we're in the 1 yard line.
is that in the next drive? That's when the fumble shit happened, didn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, I gotta go back and look, man. That
Right.
was
Like that's bonehead. Like that was right. That interception, if we took a knee, would be at what, the 25, 30 yard line.
mhm.
And then we were running the ball well. We could have scored. Right. That's like points taken off the board because we decided
Right.
to try to run it out and get tackled at the half yard line.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking for my soda.
Yeah. But like, yeah, that was just like such a right. There's the Josh Allen mistake. He's going to do that ever so often. And we just couldn't take advantage of it. I don't know if it's just a coaching thing or if just, right, we're not really experienced enough in making those kind of chances where we take the ball away. Like, I don't know if it's, the players or the coaches, but right, stuff like that, that's where we're going to be taking the next step to start winning games. Right. Especially now with, like you're saying, like the moral victories, that standard has to change now that we have Drake May. Right. If you have a quarterback like Drake May, you are going to start to expect wins. Like next year, like I want to be, playoffs. Right. If you have a guy like Drake May, you have a corner like Gonzo, right? There's a new standard now in Boston, and we have to abide by it. And the coaches have to recognize that because, yeah, this moral victory stuff. It was a fun game. It was a great game to watch, but we got to start winning them. Right. We can't waste our time or waste Gonzo's time, waste Drake May's time not winning games. Because those are the guys that win you games, and we have to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I meant to ask you, did you see the Keon White comments?
Yes. I didn't realize is his contract, right? He still has another year.
Yeah,
Like
bro,
I
he's a
don't
rookie.
really.
He just came in last year. So like I don't like
Right, he's in the same class as Gonzo. Like we're not paying them, and he's not gonna be a free agent anytime soon. Like, is he trying to ask for a trade? Like I
Yeah,
don't
like
really
that's what I'm
understand his
saying. Like, what do
comment.
you mean by his future? Like, is he about to hang it up?
Yeah, I don't know because he was like the next two games, and then I'll figure out my future later with the Patriots. It's like the only way you can get out is a trade, which like I don't know. That seems kind of weird. Like why would you trade? Like ask for a trade now? Not like you're
And honestly, two sides to this can be true. I really wonder because we sit and talk about this stuff. It's on TV all day. I
Mhm.
really wonder how much is the players buy-in to this coaching staff, or is it, or if they're just being real as to say like this looks like a clown show. This doesn't particularly look good. I'm tired of losing because last year it was a 4-13 season. Right now we're 3 and what 12.
Mhm.
The next two games are against two playoff contenders. Hopefully, we can still win at least at Buffalo at the end of the year because they're more than likely going to sit their
Yeah,
starters.
secondary, second string. Yeah.
Yeah, but even when we played Miami's backups, we lost.
Yep.
So at this point, it's just like we could be in a unique situation too. I'm not saying that they should go out and lose the next two games. Like, show some heart. You feel what I'm saying?
I would
Show
like a
some
win.
heart.
We secured a top 10 pick, right? The
Yeah,
Saints are 5-10 or whatever, right?
yeah,
We
but
if we win two games, we're still ahead of them just with strength of schedule. So
yeah, but being at two, they could find themselves in such a unique situation that they could fleece somebody for one of those picks because this isn't particularly the strongest quarterback draft.
right,
But
there's just more to
Patriots are
consider.
sitting in a spot where the Raiders, the Saints, Cleveland, that spot could be coveted by a lot of teams just to get in that spot. And the Patriots could potentially trade back
Hmm.
4 or 5 spots and still get either a Kelvin Banks or a Will Campbell. You
Yeah,
understand
and
what
what's
I'm saying? Because,
crazy, right? Those teams they only have like one more win than us, but they're like
right,
7 draft spots down.
right,
So that makes that trade up more valuable to us, right?
right.
We're like, hey, you're 7 spots behind. Like you're gonna have to trade a little bit more than what you're giving us. Where so that puts us in a good spot where this year there's been so many bad teams where a team was trying to move up from 10, it only has one more win than us, right? We're gonna use that as leverage, right? We can get more to move down, but then we still have a top 10 pick,
Yeah,
right?
because like this draft, and I heard somebody say it, which is funny because I was thinking the same thing. It's comparable to that 2023 draft where there was some stars and some gems in there, but it's a very strong defensive line draft. So therefore, like the
Mm-hmm.
Patriots with their run defense and defensive line, I do feel like they would get a great chance to address that. Probably getting some new guys into that front seven. I feel like hold up. Here's my daughter. Yes, ma'am. More what? All right, Daddy's doing something right now. Go ask mommy. Can you close the door, please? Thank you. Sorry about that. But yeah, where was I? Jesus. But
Talk
yeah,
about the
it's
D
a
line
strong
and
defensive. Yeah, it's a strong defensive line draft, and the Patriots probably would be wise to try to trade back into the first round as well to grab another guy to have that fifth year option before letting it even get down to the second round because like I said, it's not particularly a high end draft. So the Patriots have what 4 or 5 picks in the top 100. I know four for sure because they have Atlanta's
probably.
round
I mean,
pick.
we're second overall, so we're second in most of the rounds, so that would make
Yeah,
sense.
and the trade back thing, like I look
And
at a lot of these teams
we have
that
2/3 because of Judon,
2/3, yeah,
so that would make sense.
yeah. So I look at it like all these teams that people were considered to have gotten better or contenders. A lot of them had multiple first round picks coming up. Seattle did with the Russell Wilson trade.
Yep.
Um, Denver did. No, it did Denver. I'm not 100%
Oh,
sure. I don't. I'm not. Don't quote me on that. I know Minnesota had 2 first round
Eagles.
pass draft. The Eagles, the Saints, but they need a quarterback. The Texans,
Yep,
um,
right. Yeah, because
the
they
Cleveland,
had CJ and Will all
yeah,
in the
the
same draft.
Cleveland Browns. So the Jacksonville Jaguars, when they were on the come up, they had. So that's why, like, teams that are making those type of jumps, usually, typically in a draft, they're able to snag two really good players in that first round and see if they can
Yeah.
go from there.
Speaking of having 2 first rounds, there's something I wanted to run by you. I was hearing some analysts talk that Cleveland, if they want to get rid of Deshaun, they would get rid of him with a first-round pick.
Oof.
So like a team with like us, where we have a ton of cap space, right? Use enough to get offensive lineman T Higgins, right? We'll still have a ton left over. Use that to take Deshaun, get that second pick, which is still a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
Then they just get rid of Deshaun, right? Who cares, right? See ya. Just take the dead cap money, but then we have 2 top 10 picks.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, but I just read something maybe about an hour ago said that they're going to keep him, but they're going to
I
bring
saw
in
the
quarterback
restructure,
competition. Yeah,
but
they're going to bring
I
in
don't know.
quarterback competition, whether a veteran or a younger quarterback. But they just restructured his contract, so it's looking like they're going to keep him for now. And honestly, I would even take that and then use Deshaun as a backup. He has years in this league, especially if you were to bring in somebody off of Bill O'Brien's system, or somebody off a system that he might be a little bit familiar with as a backup. He's a veteran. What I mean, I would rather a veteran be in Drake May's ear rather than what's been the last couple years. Our backup quarterback is either a first year or a second year player.
Yeah,
I
it just
mean,
depends on what's more expensive. Like, I wonder if it's cheaper to just toss them or if it's cheaper to keep them. You know,
if he's coming with that contract, then yeah, stay the fuck out the building. Like, no,
yeah,
yeah, we don't want the contract. What I mean?
right.
The
That's the
player's
thing.
cool, especially if you said a first round pick with him. But if he's coming with that contract,
Yeah,
nah,
it's kind of
hell
interested to see.
no.
Like, another first round pick, that'd be kind of interesting. But I don't know if I would want one for this year or if I would want one for next year. Right?
I
It kind of
feel, I feel like they should take it for next year because
it's such a thin draft this year, right? Like, just take the
even
Will Campbell, the Kevin Banks, and then kind of move on. Use the year after if it's a little bit thicker of a draft, a little bit more
because
time.
even with Hunter is going to be so much easier to bring him in as a corner and find certain formations or packages to use him on, not use him full time on offense, but use him in certain packages. I feel like that would be cool for the Patriots, but you guys literally do not have that luxury right now. You know what I mean? You guys
Right.
don't have that luxury to even do something like that. So as much as I would like him in, plus, you know, we don't need him bringing his girlfriend around and freaking
I was
doing
about to
something with
say,
somebody on the fucking team.
listen, we don't
Yeah,
not be dealing with that.
yeah,
That's
we don't need that. But
yeah,
yeah, but and then like I said, looking at what I saw last night and just being logic, and the best way to build your team is through the trenches because
yep,
that fixes a lot of things around everybody else. These wide receivers, at some point, you guys are going to know how to get open if this offensive line is blocking right. It's just inevitable. With
hmm
a good offensive line and a solid quarterback, I'm not saying his receivers got to be all the way up here, but definitely not be up here, but look like NFL caliber players.
hmm
He will be able. The offense will be fine. So, like I said, I was all on, yeah, get the T Max, and I'm just thinking about it like, will any of these guys like really change life for the Patriots? Where it's like we're gonna see that jump where we're in divisional round playoffs next year. I feel like the best chance of that happening, honestly, is getting another efficient offensive line in there. Obviously left tackle, but Who knows what happens at the right tackle position? Because since we switched schemes, Michael Winu hasn't been the same. And that's
Mm.
just from a schematic standpoint, because if you look at a lot of the Patriots linemen that Bill had there, his core, the Cole Scranges, the David Andrews, the Michael Winus, the reason they ran a power run scheme where it was more gap based. Alex Van Pelt's asking more of that wide zone run and things like that. So now you're asking your linemen to pull a little bit more and get out in space, and they might not be as agile to keep up with the guys that are in front of them or get
Yep.
over there to their blocks in time, which is leading to a lot of blown up blocks. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Could they have changed it to a power run scheme? Yeah. Why haven't they? I don't know. But even with the defense, you can tell that there's been some changes there. DeMarcus Covington, oh yeah, we're going to be more aggressive. How'd that turn out for you? Especially when you were aggressive against the Rams. You ran a 0-man blitz in the middle of the field, and
Let's say
who was
we can't sack for nothing, right? We can't even. We're not even aggressive. We
you
try.
scheme that type of stuff up. Like literally, you scheme that type of stuff up to the point where it's like, yeah, we have no pass rush, but it's like Keon White gets a lot of pressure and everything. So why aren't you running him on stunts? You know what I mean? Or
Hmm.
things like that. Moving him around on the line. Because the same way how offensive coordinator can scheme a player open against zone coverage, you could scheme up pressure. There's things called stimulated pressure and everything. Confuse them at the line of scrimmage where you can possibly get their blocking scheme a little bit off whack, or show them more guys up at the line that way they're thinking this is a blitz or it goes this way. So I already know he's getting scapegoated,
Yeah.
and I don't feel particularly bad for him. I don't feel like he should have exactly been thrust in that role. Alex Van
Hmm.
Pelt, I can understand that a little bit more because even though he wasn't calling plays, he was considered an offensive coordinator in Cleveland, and it doesn't seem like he's a stupid football coach because he
No,
for
he's just
one,
inexperienced, right?
yeah, he's inexperienced with the play calling factor of it,
Right.
or he's not creative enough. Because how much do we see the Patriots just come out and line up? You know what I mean? Not a lot of audible in, and Drake Mays pointing out what he's seeing at the line. It just seems like the plays coming in. Listen, Drake, boom, this is what it is. They like to run this in this area of the field. Maybe if you see this, boom, boom. But it's very simplistic, and it's line up and move. Or even
Yeah.
in the red zone. All those attempts we had in the red zone, what were they doing? Just lining up and running routes. I didn't see nothing like no motions or anything that looked particular.
Yeah.
Just
When I was
line up,
there,
hey Drake, get
right
the ball here. Line up, hey Drake, get
there,
the
it was
ball
like 20 plays in a row, and it was like within like 5 minutes.
here.
And we just kept running the play, running the play, running the play, running the play. There was, yeah, like you said, there's no pre-snap motion or pre-snap changing and stuff. Like I started Drake to notice he's starting to talk a little bit more, but like right, like you said, he's not going up there looking and be like, okay, hey, let's move this around. It doesn't seem like there's a lot to like go on. Like, hey, okay, now motion, right? I don't know why we don't motion. I feel like we should be motioning like crazy. Right,
They
like instead of
should.
having like a Pop Douglas, kind of moving around in the back, right? He gets a lot of attention. I feel like that would be like an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and I feel like it's because of that scheme where if you see like the scheme doesn't work for them because for one, you don't have those intelligent route runners where you notice they don't always split out wide a lot. A lot of their formations are more tight. The
Right.
receivers are more tight inside, whereas leaving the safety. So a lot of their game does come between the numbers, except for when Drake, does his thing on the outside. But we don't have those speed elements and those tight ends that can shake a linebacker. To Hunter Henry is a good tight end, but he's more of that possession type of tight end. Hey, Hunter, he got hands. He can make the catches in those tight windows. That's somebody you would want in the middle of the field. But is he shaking guys out in man coverage, or are you guys going through the middle of the field, or defense? Is he forcing that linebacker to get more depth into his route that maybe Pop Douglas can come underneath on a drag, or whoever else you have in there where they can exploit another hole inside of the on deep on the inside of defense. And I feel like they don't play wide enough because they don't have those receivers to beat that press coverage consistently.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because all right, you start playing wide and you're up on the line like that, now teams can, even if they're in zone coverage, they can just move their guys down, play bump and run, get back. So it's definitely a personnel thing. It kind of doesn't help as much like with the coaching staff. Like I said, it's almost a good feeling that Van Pelt and Mayo is going to be back next year. As for Mayo, I don't see why they're bringing him back next year besides the fact that they're coddling him. Because you can't see that you've seen something that's like, oh my God, that was smart by Gerard Mayor. Oh, did you see the adjustments that were made in this second half? It's not like we don't talk about nothing he did in the game. We talk about his post-game comments and his frustration. Every time your frustration comes out, you're blaming somebody or you're doing it. And when
then you
there's
backtrack.
there's plenty of blame to fucking go around. Like, sorry, but there's plenty of blame to go around. Like, you come up here with this shit, but this is a created problem. This is a created problem. You guys didn't even choose to address the offensive line until the 4th round. You literally just brought in Drake May. You chose to address the offensive line in the 4th round. Why is that? You could have got better high-end talent. I'm pretty sure you would have got more out of a 2nd-round tackle than you do out of
Jalen Polt.
No.
Yeah, well, that's why I've been on the Will Campbell train kind of since day one. Like we've been kind of a broken record with drafting receivers. It's not going well. Right, the offensive line, we just got to focus. Right, you were talking earlier about trying to play more wide. Right, that puts more pressure on the offensive line because now there's no receiver help. Usually, right, there's not always a running back in the backfield to help out too, mainly out wide. So drafting a lineman I think is just the most ideal, and then getting T. Higgins or something like that in the free agency. We just got to stop drafting receivers. We just got to play with the offensive line. Van Pelt came in saying he wanted to be a run team. He wanted to be a screen team, right? He wants people who can block. I just feel like the offensive line has been what we've been wanting to do for a while, and we just haven't. So
because they haven't. They're still chasing the Isaiah Wynn pick from 2018. The fact that me personally, I don't feel like he played that terrible. He just couldn't stay healthy. Because there were times that I feel like Isaiah Wynn played a pretty decent.
Wynn was he was a penalty machine.
Now that part of it. Because there were times he didn't give up a lot of sacks. It's just he was. I don't know. It's something about them Georgia. It's something about them Georgia offensive linemen, man.
I don't want to be like. I mean, I'm going to be blunt. He was just dumb. Right? He couldn't handle a play. Right? When he's blocking, he does all right. But like false starts, and then if the guy gets around him, he holds him. He was just not smart. Like that was kind of what it came down to with Wynn. He's just right. He also wasn't healthy, so like he couldn't stay healthy, which I guess it can affect the knowing the play call and stuff. Right? He's not on the field all the time. He's not kind of getting it down pat. But yeah, he was just dumb. And that's kind of like everyone on the offensive line right now is just there's so many penalties. And I don't know if it's like the coaching staff not being able to get it across to them, right? These guys have played football their whole life, so it's not like it's a whole new challenge. But there's so many penalties, and it's just been a trend.
Yeah, with Isaiah Wynn, it's the same with Michael Wynn. Who like to sit out there and play tackle. That's why I would rather prefer Campbell over a Kelvin Banks. Just because, just off the size. Campbell's 6'6". That's a guy that you would want playing tackle on the edge versus Banks at 6'4". Like, that's cool, but by tackle standards, that's relatively undersized. Just off the simple fact that maybe he's seeing a guy 6'5", 6'6" majority of the game. And maybe he can get his hand over him. Or you already know length. The length thing is a in which I'm not hearing length is a problem with him. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's just they're saying that a lot of this tackle draft projects more to being guards long term rather than tackles. Who knows that for sure? Because honestly, half these people don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, they said the same thing about Joe Thomas, right? I'm kind of talking with like Will Campbell with like the short
Yeah,
arms. And Joe Thomas is arguably the greatest tackle of all time. And
right.
he was able to, if you can play ball, you can play ball. Will Campbell started as a freshman at LSU and has
Right.
played the entire time.
And
He
the fact
knows how
that
to.
and the fact that he got a quarterback like Drake May playing behind him, trust and believe that Will
Yeah,
Campbell is at least 85% better of what we have, and which I'm pretty sure he will be.
right.
Drake
You can't
May,
get much worse, right? It's
yeah,
like,
but I feel like it's about time. And honestly, that's what I took in my Madden draft when I took Campbell right there. Like,
yeah,
so I'm more concerned like with that second pick. Do we go receiver with that second pick,
I
or
not
I wouldn't,
just
because
trade
it's
down.
like as much as we need a wide receiver,
Right, if we can get T Higgins, why draft? Like, just go for an offensive tackle. Like, I just right,
like
just
even
use
if
free
we
agency to get the
don't,
the big names, and then just build that offensive line with the draft. Just build it up.
yeah, even if we don't get a T Higgins, there's some, like I said, even in the later rounds, maybe even the third round, there's some pretty good receivers that you can get. Look at Nico Collins. What was he, a second or third round pick?
Second
You
round,
know,
yeah.
you get the right type of quarterback in there. These guys are going to learn how to play, because look at Washington. And they're the prime example that when people want to talk about talent discrepancies and everything, and this is why I shut it down when they try to give Gerard Mayo all the excuses in the world. I mean, you do understand that Washington's pick from 2023, first round, they released him. The pick from 2022 in the first round, he's gone. Jahan Dotson, when did he come in? I think he came in 2023 too. I think Forbes and Dotson,
Hmm.
or 2022, something like that.
Yeah,
Came in the same draft.
Forbes. Yeah, Forbes with Gonzo. So I think
Yeah,
Dotson
that
was
was
the year
last year,
before.
2023.
Yeah,
The year before was Dotson.
yeah,
And Jamin Davis, too, I think, came in the year before. But as you can see, Washington had sent all those guys out. Yeah, you still got Terry McLaurin over there, but they even got Noah Igbenogany, the one that was on the Dolphins. I was looking at his
right,
lockdown percentage. He's fourth in the league in lockdown percentage right now. He's playing well, because you already seen it at Auburn. He was a tall corner, fast as hell, long, lanky. But for whatever reason, the coaching staff in Miami didn't do what they were supposed to do to him. Versus you go to Dan Quinn, who comes from that Seattle coaching tree, who uses those longer corners, who then worked with the Richard Shermans and the Byron
right.
Maxwell.
Yeah,
That's their scheme. It's about scheming. What can we really say that where Gerard's scheme stay at? Would he still stay with a Belichick philosophy type of defense, or is he still worrying about separating himself from Belichick? Period.
hmm,
It's
right.
like,
Yeah,
where's the identity of the team? Because we assumed that the defense would be the same because we had our former DC and he was a former player. So we
yeah.
assume that all these things, bro, the tape's still in the building. I'm pretty sure some of the coaching points or whatever the case may be from Bill, whatever like, listen, all this stuff could be Andy. Yeah, it's different if the guy's not coaching the team, clearly. But you got a referendum. You have a referendum. I'm pretty sure this property of the team where you guys have film, where you guys can go back and watch certain schemes or what you did in certain games and everything. And even some of these guys that are in the building that you guys re-signed. And there were players that I liked, but Jelani Tavai, I wouldn't have re-signed him.
Hmm.
And I like him. But it's time to turn the page at, Jawan Bentley, he's a structure there. But we need another guy that can come in after. So do you get a linebacker in maybe the third, fourth round? I was even thinking that if you take the second round pick, Jalen Walker from Georgia, he's more of a tweener. He can play on the edge and he also can play inside.
Yeah, I like defense second round. Right, I
Yeah,
like it a lot.
or a guy that can get on that line with Baltimore and White.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like they could trade back in. Would you have your could you trade back into the first round and get your hands on Walter Nolan from Ole Miss, or maybe Keith Grant falls to the second round? Somebody else, like aside from them picking up a tackle, like I understand the need for corner and all these other things too. They have to take a look at something in that front seven, whether it's inside linebacker, but I'm not going to tell you address that in the second round unless you got the second coming of Ray Lewis or somebody
Luke
like
Kuechly, yeah.
yeah. I'd rather go to that in the third or fourth. But that second round, I would hope that they would take either another defensive tackle there or obviously the edge. You
Yeah, I
take
mean, the defensive line has been a weak point because, like you said, they wanted to be aggressive, try to get after the quarterback, which would help Gonzo, help the corners, right? But we just haven't been able to. Like Kyler Murray, we had no sacks. We couldn't get it. We couldn't get him at all, and that's been the story of the entire season. Is just we can't even put pressure, right?
yeah,
It's hard to just get pressure.
we took a sack boost when we got basically about 4 games worth of sacks in one game versus Chicago.
Yeah, right. Against Caleb Williams, we had none.
Yeah, like literally that's where
we
we shot up at. But
I think we had
Keon White,
13 after that game, and 9 of them were in that one game.
yeah, because it's like Keon White, like when they said the other day, like, yeah, that's his 6th sack. I'm thinking, like, bro, he had 4 sacks in the first 5 games of the season.
Right.
What the hell happened?
Right. Yeah, Keon looked like
and he's still getting pressure. But that's what I'm saying. That goes to coaching. But here you are, we have a defensive-minded coach that you were a former player under this great defensive coach. And he brought you in on the staff. But no, you pulled a backdoor move. You backdoored him. Like, I'm not saying that, get your money. Like, if you want the job, yeah. It was already written in the contract. But the moment he seen what was going on between Kraft and Bill, Gerard Mayo was supposed to sit aside. Because guess what? Now you're at the forefront of this. And you could potentially be scapegoated at the end of this too. Understandably so that, yeah, you played your hand and, yeah, you were in meetings with the owners when you were supposed to be in team meetings and things like that. You stepped out of your place. So now the team looks worse. And if it continues to look worse going into next year, you're about to get fired.
Yeah, he has to go.
Honestly, I would have rather stayed to learn one more year if I knew my time was coming up. Then yeah, I would have expected Bill to have me a little bit closer to him, allowing me more access to certain things that maybe I thought I knew, but I didn't know. But that's not what happened. So I can see why the players are coming out. Not saying that it makes it right, but I'm not surprised that now the way that these younger players operate and the way that they use the media to sound off alarms to certain things when they know they're playing on their words and you leave a lot of things open for interpretation.
Yep.
Like Keon.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Like we were just talking about with Keon. Right. I mean, Mayo is the chosen one, so he's gonna get that leeway, and that's kind of what's happening. But yeah, it has to be frustrating, especially coming like Keon was drafted by Bill Belichick. You go from Bill Belichick and having like this one of the greatest defensive minds ever, and then transitioning straight into Gerard Mayo. It can't be easy. And like you said, Keon started the season 2 sacks a game. And then now he's not doing anything, and he's kind of sounding off, making it seem like it's a coaching issue that's going on without saying it. I mean, yeah, it has to be frustrating.
I want to show you something because I remember this on draft night, and this is the first thing that popped in my head. Hold up. Sorry. I wish I could pull it up on here, but this might be the first thing that popped in my head.
Oh, yeah, the face. Yep. No, exactly.
He didn't even look happy. He didn't even look happy. So it's like, look at him. Yeah. This is on draft night.
Yep. Which he said that it was because he was in the second round, which, I mean, who knows? But, I mean, with just the statement that he made earlier today, I mean, it kind of connects the dots a little bit.
Yeah, overall, because it's like, if you already done went to a place that maybe you weren't the happiest to go into? Because let's just say he heard some things about Bill that he was supposed to be a hard coach, and now he done got drafted. Maybe he was hoping to get drafted late in the first round to go to a contender like a Buffalo or because somebody like him, had he went to one of those teams, it looks a lot different. You understand what I'm saying? It looks a lot different because you have other guys around you that's versus he's being brought in to be a piece that you can build upon. And I would love to see what he would look like if Bill was here coaching. Because I already seen it once he took Gonzo, I'm like, well, listen, Brian Belichick, I believe he's the safeties and cornerbacks coach.
Mm-hmm.
He does an exceptional job. Because usually
Yeah.
whatever corners or whatever they bring in, whether undrafted, besides we can't take a corner in the second round for shit too. But Duke Dawson, Cyrus Jones, Jawan Williams.
Cyrus Jones, I was so excited to have him on our team. I thought he was the next coming of, Stephon Gilmore, Darrell Revis. That dude was terrible.
Duke
Terrible.
Dawson too. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you want to see this tape? I'm like, oh man, this dude. I'm like, damn, we got him. Like, okay, a little slot corner or something. I'm like, okay.
Well, he was kind of like he was Jabril Peppers before Jabril Peppers. Right? He played on teams, great corner. That was so sad. I was so happy to get him.
Jawan Williams. I don't know what happened with that. And that was another trade up. Like, but when he took Gonzo, I just already knew because I'm like looking at that type of talent and who he's about to go to. It's about he went to the right place. And then that first game where we came out and played the Eagles, because I was already hearing about it. Usually a player that's transcended, you start hearing stories about them in training camp. Your teammates are coming out and saying things. And I kept seeing things about Gonzo. So I'm like, oh, okay. I thought he would be a good corner, but I didn't. I'm not even going to say that I foresee him going to this level because the way he's playing now, he has that respect where you do not throw that ball over his direction because it's either going to be a pass breakup or he has those cat-like reflexes where he can get his head around, flip his hips so fast, and it can turn into a pick in the blink of an eye.
Well, like the Bills game, I think he only was targeted once, if I'm not mistaken, and that one time was the interception.
Yeah,
don't throw it to it. He's the kind of player who will shut down an entire half of the field.
I think Marte is going to be a problem going forward. That was the game.
Do you see his PFF? He was ranked top 5 in almost every statistical category for a safety that game. He did really besides fucking kneeing it down on the half-yard line. He had a really good game. He almost had 2 picks.
He's been making plays even since last year too. Since he's been when he's healthy, even that game versus Kansas City where he picked off Mahomes, you could see there's flashes with Marte. Those flashes are there.
I like him a lot.
I feel like they're going to come to fruition. But while that's coming up, the Kyle Duggar thing, it could get interesting. I love Kyle Duggar personally. I feel like he's a little bit underrated. Is he having a bad year? He's having an up and down year, but I'm not even going to sit here and try to run him off the roster because he had an up and down year. Like Kyle Duggar, I think people are forgetting in that time frame where he should have went to a Pro Bowl when the Patriots, what was it, 2022? Down the stretch where the defense had like 7 straight games and 7 defensive touchdowns. Duggar had 4 of them.
Yeah.
Kyle Duggar, and even some in the Buffalo game, he looked good early on. Kyle Duggar can play. There's a lot of dudes that took a step back since this new defensive came in. So it's like,
which is an insane red flag.
Yeah, right? So it's like, you're paying $17 million to Kyle Duggar to do what? Listen, let's slow down because Kyle Duggar is a dog. I say he has his moments, but I don't feel like that's the real Kyle Duggar. Either he's hurt or this defensive scheme and what's being asked and how they're being utilized is just it's just not it's just not sustainable
Yeah,
because Kyle
we
Duggar's not the type of safety that you want to. Yeah, you can put him in man coverage in a few times to get by on certain plays, or that's not somebody you constantly want covering these tight ends and everything else in the coverage. That's somebody you want to keep closer to the line to defend that run, but he also, in that intermediate to the seam flats to the flat area, and all, he can be a golden gem.
hmm
Now, does it help that inside linebacker so weak that maybe Duggar, his responsibilities have went up that much because him being a strong safety in the system, that now that the inside linebacker position is so weak, he has to come up and assume some of those responsibilities or help out a little bit more. That that could cause some out of positions too, because Jawan Bentley going down, that was a major loss. Run defender, captain of the defense.
yeah, that was bigger than we were kind of expecting. To
Yeah,
be honest, I don't think the Pats were expecting that really either. Yeah, I mean, he
yeah,
was kind of the glue, and we just realized he's the glue.
because he's been there since 2018. So Mayo, you were the linebackers coach. Donta Hightower, you played with Bentley and everything else. So you guys have that nepotism where even if you're calling the play into him and everything else, I don't feel like the defense would look this bad had Bentley been there, because I feel like it would kind of be easier to get on the same page with the coaching staff and a player that's been there for at least one of the Super Bowl years. That he's him and maybe Jonathan Jones, Dietrich Wise, David Andrews, and maybe a few other guys that were still there when we were still somewhat, contenders. You know what I mean?
hmm
Obviously, we won that Super Bowl in the 2018-2019 season. After that, we did go to the playoffs the next year, but we lost to Tennessee. And then next
Yeah,
year, Tom
right.
left, but we did end up making the playoffs with Mac as well. So, you know, I feel like the transition period will be a little bit easier, but I just don't get like what they mean by what is about to be a change in philosophy and the coaching staff and everything else. But Gerard Mayo will still be the head coach. Okay, so how much of this are you about to change when he is still the head coach? So you need a babysitter to come in and babysit your head coach.
Right.
Like, we're not talking about the offensive coordinator or anything else. You're talking about bringing in more experience to babysit the head coach.
Right. And like you were saying earlier, if we had Bill for one more year, right, that could have been like that babysitting kind of rolling away without him actually being the head coach. Because I mean, clearly he just hasn't been ready enough to, take on more responsibility like he is.
And what's sad about it all is it seems like the Patriots coaches and their front office really have no friends outside of New England. And I don't even mean to say it like that to even sound like fucked up, but I honestly believe that's what led to Bill hiring Patricia as the
Yeah, he
offensive
kept it within
coordinator.
yeah, he had a small knit group that he just kept recycling.
And now Mayo, you keep hearing reports that a lot of people don't even want to come to New England and work for the guy because maybe they didn't like his arrogance in the interview, because maybe they're looking at it like, yo, I've done more than you in this league. I done actually been a coordinator, called plays and everything else. And then they come into an interview and it looks like a guy that was handed, you was spoon fed and handed your plate of food by ownership. And however them interview processes went, left other teams feeling like, hey, look, man, I ain't with it. Because look at the Chicago Bears, Shane Waldron. You left Seattle to go to Chicago, but got fired.
Yep.
Eric Bieniemy left the Chiefs to go to Washington to show that he was actually capable of coaching the offense. And then what happened? Ron Rivera gets fired. The team gets sold. Eric Bieniemy is getting bounced around from team to team in college and everything else. But this is a two-time winning offensive coordinator that was over in KC for whatever reason. I don't know if Andy Reid was the one just drawing up all the plays and maybe Eric Bieniemy role was closer to what Gerard Mayo's role was with the defense on the Patriots. I don't know, but these are going to be legitimate concerns about other people when the Patriots are trying to bring them in. Is this guy going to be fired at the end of the year? Because
But that's the thing. Like, it's not really a secure kind of office at this point. Like everyone's jobs are kind of up in the air. So it's not like you're going into like this thing. It's like, okay, I'm guaranteed to have like the same group of people for a couple of years. Where it's kind of a little bit of a chaos at the moment because we don't really know what's going to happen.
because what if this year what if this year the draft looks anything close to how it looked last year? Like I said, the Drake May pick hit it out the park. To me, it was an obvious pick. Like I said, I was asking for that all year. The moment I saw him, I said, that dude got to be a Patriot. I didn't want Caleb. I got the Jaden Daniel things, because the Lamar comparison, I definitely would have took him too. But honestly, Drake May from the start to finish, I'm like, he has to be a Patriot. Like, he asks anybody. And then when they drafted him, my heart I calmed down. So I'm like, okay, we got our quarterback.
Yeah.
But after that, man. So what happens if that draft looks anywhere close to how it does this year? What about Elliott Wolf? Does he get on the hot seat now? That's what I'm saying. This stuff, this is function that's coming out the building. Maybe everybody needs to huddle up. I'm talking about coaching staff and really have a long, hard talk about how or what information you guys are feeding to this media. Because on top of trying to get players in here, you gotta clean that up out of the media, or coaches are not going to want to come here.
Right.
Not. Nobody's going to want to attach their career to something that maybe they have a good situation at where they're at to come here because you have an attractive quarterback. The quarterback's so attractive, but maybe the coaching staff and a few other things isn't right with this situation, and now everybody gets fired. The whole front office.
I think it's chaotic. It can be an explosive situation where, right? Like this year, maybe we, let go of Covington or whatever. But if something doesn't change and like our offense doesn't look any better and our team still sucks, then everyone else is going to be looked at and everyone else could get fired. Because if nothing changes, it's like, okay, well, clearly we didn't make enough changes before, so now we got to make more. And it could be kind of a reactive, like, okay, everyone's out. We're going to start clean. And like Ben Johnson's kind of the talk of the town. I can see him not wanting to be here just from that, right? Unless if like the OC and the DC were kind of kicked out, and if we cleaned house this year, and then Ben Johnson comes in, gets his own crew, then I can see us being attractive to a lot of coaches. But I don't see us doing that. It's going to be Gerard. I think Covington's the only coach that might get fired, to be honest. Because I feel like that was just kind of like, where the hell did our defense go? Like, clearly, he's going to be the scapegoat. We might kind of hire someone new. I hope we don't promote someone because that's what happened and it didn't work. I think like we need more people on the outside, more opinions, especially where Gerard's first-year head coach.
But I got a question. Why is it that why didn't they put Van Pelt as the quarterback's coach? Being that he just got fired out of Cleveland, I think he would have accepted that he got another job to come in, put him as the quarterback's coach, and put Ben McAdoo as the offensive coordinator. Because then it would have made more sense that it's closer, that it would have been exactly what the Green Bay Packers had back then. We can say whatever we want about Ben McAdoo as a head coach, but as an offensive coordinator, seems like you know what he's talking about, because like him and Alex Van Pelt do have that camaraderie with each other, where that right there would not have seemed as far-fetched, and I felt like it would have been a better maturation to the offense overall, because it seems like when you hear about the league sources and what's thought about Alex Van Pelt, he's a great quarterback. He's a great quarterback coach. And I'm hearing that admitted by some of the, some people high up. He's a great quarterbacks coach. That maybe his role of why the role that the Patriots gave him isn't the role that he shouldn't be. It should be in because he wasn't even calling plays in Cleveland for whatever reason. Why wasn't that? Why wasn't he calling plays over there? Did they see something that they wasn't particularly fond with, or his style of play? Because even when you go back and look at that playoff game with Cleveland and Pittsburgh, it wasn't exactly the most. But it was Pittsburgh fucked up early, and yeah, it cost them. They fucked up early.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with that. I mean, it's kind of interesting. I wonder if I don't really get it because Ben McAdoo has a little bit more experience, but maybe because Van Pelt was a little bit more recent of kind of being like in an OC role, maybe.
They talking about his offense, 1960. That's the same thing they were saying about Bill's offense. And honestly, yeah, all these, hey, guys, everybody run in and just run these short routes. Like, yo, linebackers are a lot faster now. They get out of their breaks faster and everything. Like, these dudes is jumping balls, everything else. Like, just imagine that if the Patriots had Seattle's roster and then brought Drake May in.
Right. That'd be awesome.
Seattle got a hell of a roster. It's just Geno.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, man, like they gotta get to that level. They gotta get aggressive.
Yep, definitely.
Because this free agency, who knows? Like T. Higgins is seeming like we don't know for sure if he's gonna leave, and so I'm saying he might go back to Cincinnati because if you really look at it, they fix a few things on the defensive side of the ball. They're still a contender.
Yeah, their offense hasn't skipped a beat.
Except for it don't seem like I don't know what's going on with their offseason game planning because 4 seasons in a row, you guys come in 0-4 in the month of September. That just means that your coaching staff is ill prepared and has like almost no idea about how the other teams are going to come out and play in the first couple opening games because you got a 4-year sample size of that. So
yeah,
we'll see. I just hope it. I do
want to end the pod on a story. It's kind of about Drake May when I was at the game.
Okay.
So obviously, I think Drake May had a really good game. He was solid. I was going to the bathroom, right? There's huge line, and it's all Bills fans. All of them were talking like, yo, this Drake May kid, he's really fucking good. All of them were like, all talking about how good Drake May is. And I think they're starting to get into a little bit of a panic. I think they're starting to kind of see New England as this guy. And
you can see it. Clearly the second best quarterback in the division.
Yeah, because like a lot of these guys, they're not really paying attention to the Pats. Now they see this kid live, and I was drinking, so a little bit after the game, I was kind of chirping a little bit. But
hey, you were supposed to. Shit.
Like, Boogeyman's back. Like you guys, Drake May's gonna be in your nightmares. He's gonna scare the hell out of you, and it's already starting to kind of scare the Bills Mafia a little bit. It's kind of fun to watch, just kind of seeing them all talking about like, this just Drake kid. I don't know, he's pretty freaking good. So I thought that was kind of fun to kind of see the little bit of panic growing in a division rival like that, even though we're a pitiful team. But I
can see it.
Drake is putting in the spark, and I think the league's starting to kind of take notice.
Because
he's putting fear back, which is fun because we haven't been able to have someone like that on the Pats since obviously Brady.
He outplayed Josh. Like,
he did.
Josh Allen, but particularly in that game, the vet looked more like a rookie, and the rookie looked more like a vet. It's like, wait, how the fuck did that interception? Oh yeah, he did throw a pick. I don't blame that one as much weird, because I see where he was trying to go. Wait, you were there. Did you see that one?
So it was on the other side, but when he threw it, there's a whole pile, and a bunch of players were like falling around. Drake said after the game, like the field was slick, so people were kind of slipping or whatever. So I think the second he threw it, it was just already kind of a balls in the air 50-50 ball, just because everyone was kind of falling on each other.
I honestly don't feel like it was as bad of a pass as people like, oh, well, you don't throw that pass. The tight end was supposed to be breaking out, and honestly, it looked like he had space to break out.
I wish
And
I
he
could
couldn't
see
tell.
like a sky view or like a slow mo of kind of what was supposed to happen because he threw it but it just seemed like there was a kind of like a clusterfuck in the back of the
Yeah,
end
he
zone, and
fell.
so I think the play just kind of fell apart with the field. To be
And
honest,
honestly, they said I think that one was on Bourne because he was in the wrong
okay,
spot again.
which yeah, that's been a
That has
trend.
been happening lately. Kendrick Bourne
Mm-hmm.
has consistently been in the wrong spot, and they just paid this dude to
Mm-hmm.
another 3-year deal coming off an ACL tear. I'm looking at it like, dude, he's like 30, coming off an ACL tear, and you guys just signed him to another 3-year deal. That's the same thing I was looking at when the Patriots. Who did they sign to a 3? Parker. Was
Yeah,
it
I was gonna say it
Devontae
was
Parker?
Devontae.
I'm like, bro, what the hell, y'all? 3 years? They're still about to be 32. By the time I'm in the 3, like, what do we?
He has like 5 catches. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was,
like 3 years, bro. Like that's what I'm saying. Listen, I like Kendrick Bourne and all that, but obviously, when he came in, he was a spark. In 2021, he was a spark. For
yeah.
whatever reason, Matt Patricia put him in the doghouse in 2022.
Right, we were talking about it earlier in the pod with Kayshawn being in the doghouse. That was Kendrick, and then I remember there was like a
2022
span where he
against
didn't play, and then he came back for I think it was against Miami, and he had like that 40-yard bomb. It was like so that game he had no snaps, and then he came in for one play, 40-yard bomb, and the whole talk was like he was in this doghouse, but he was like our best receiver. It like made no
right.
sense.
Yeah, it was like that was a weird season because Kendrick Bourne is like, bro, he had the highest receiving yards from the year before, and then we came in. Our main receivers were Taekwon and Nelson
I was
Aguilar.
thinking, do we have Aguilar still? That was
Yeah,
the
yeah,
worst.
yeah. It was because he went.
That
I
was
remember he went for
horrible.
100 against Pittsburgh in that first game,
Yep.
and,
Yep.
and Jacoby Myers. But I feel like you could have got away with Bourne, Myers, and Aguilar because that's what they were doing the year that they went 10-7. Because they lost a couple close games early versus Dallas. If Aguilar catches that ball,
Mm-hmm.
if they called a flag against Tampa, well, that was in the 2021 season. Yeah, when we played Tom, had they called that flag when who was the corner that had to hold Aguilar's face mask on that 4th and 2?
Yeah, I don't know who, but yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? So I feel like the Aguilar pick wasn't as bad as many could have made it seem because I've seen situations where they could have won with him and where he made some plays, but it seems like the moments where he needed to make the play,
Mm-hmm.
it just didn't happen.
Right.
So it's just like the way that this team has ended up, it's just like honestly, like it hurts. Like it really do. Because it sucks. It sucks watching it sometimes. Like that was the most enjoyable game this past Sunday that I've seen in a long time, and because it was Buffalo. But to know that we had them like down 14 early and could have took another lead on them.
Yeah,
And the interception and everything came. It's just like, man, like
that's
damn it.
that's the next step that we have to do to become a winning team is to take advantage of other teams' mistakes. Right?
Yeah,
That's what
like
we did the whole time with Brady, and that's what the Chiefs are doing right now. We just got to be smart. You got to take advantage of stupid plays by other teams. We just can't be the stupid team. And we've been
I'm like 4th and short, and I'm in the middle of a losing season. You're a division rival, and you're trying to get somewhere. I'm not punting the ball. I'm literally would tell my team going into that game, we're in 4th and short. We're not punting.
I did like that the
Pretty
fake
good.
punt. I did like that call. That was fun. I like that a lot from Gerard to kind of
Oh yeah. No, that right
early in the
there.
game.
I'm talking about every single one because there were times that he punted it when it was like, bro, I get it, but I would rather have Drake May on the field in a short yardage situation to go after that defense rather than give the ball back to Josh Allen with time for him to work up and make a play because that's what he's looking for all game. If you're undisciplined, he's going to get you.
Right.
He's looking to scramble outside the pocket and hit you for a 50-yard bomb. Or he's going to throw it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I wouldn't feel comfortable with my defense, on the field against him like that. So
Nope.
it was just a lot, but
yeah. Well,
so
we'll see against the Chargers. Hopefully, we can kind of build off of last game. If we
that's
can kind
tomorrow.
of make the next 2 games kind of build upon this, I feel a lot more comfortable going into next year. I just want to be more aggressive. I want more fun games like that. And then next year we'll kind of set a new standard of trying to win games, because right now we just got to look good.
So what is your bare minimum for next year to show that there was even any type of progressive jump?
I want to go into week 18 still having legit hopes of making the playoffs.
That's respectable considering the teams that you see that you can get up there against. Yeah. Hopefully.
I mean,
I feel like that's what it's going to take for not to fire Gerard.
I think if to fire Gerard, we would have to be like
6-11.
Yeah. Right. 2 games improvement. Like that's just
10. I feel like
if we're
any
a top 10 pick,
season,
if we guaranteed another top 10 pick, then I think he's gone.
Yeah, I feel like if it ain't 8 and 9, like 8 and 9,
Right, that's a legitimate improvement.
It's more realistic.
That's a double the win, double the amount of
it's
wins.
Realistic.
That's
I can
respectable.
that one. But I feel like anything a losing record less than that, then yes. 7 and 10, I feel like that doesn't get it done. Because 7 and 10, all that do is tell me if you somehow manage to win 4 more games next year, is that you got better than the teams that was worse than you. Because like I said, you're always gonna play who's 4th in their division because you're 4th. So you're gonna play who's 4th in the AFC. So you're gonna play Jacksonville again next year. You're gonna get the Raiders, and you're gonna play the AFC North.
Do we face the North? That's suck.
The Browns.
Yeah.
You're going to play those teams. So let's just say if you can steal 3 wins against them, you got better than them. Because, all right, Jags, they got a quarterback. Maybe they might be back next year. Raiders, you should beat them. The Browns, you should beat them. So those, even if we count those as some extra wins plus maybe 3 wins where they steal some games in there and get up to maybe 6 or 7, I feel like that still wouldn't be marginal enough for me to feel like, well, yeah, no, Gerard, this ain't a third because it's
I'm gonna be like same level as like the Broncos, the Chargers, like something like that. The Commanders, right? Have a winning streak, be a real playoff contender, make it all the way to week 18. Even if we don't make it, it's like, that's still a successful season. Like I want to be in the picture until the end.
Yeah, because it's looking like
we have to be
playoffs
right?
these days. You need at least 10 wins. That's what it's looking like. Like literally, to make the playoffs in the AFC and in the NFC, even the 7 seeds is looking like they would all have 10 wins if they would at least one more game before the season's out on both sides. The 7 seed will have fucking 10 wins.
Right.
So we have a team that's sitting at 3 wins right now that could potentially go 3-14 to get up 7 games next year. Like I said, it's possible with the quarterback that you have, but that coaching staff,
right? Well, we'll see how tomorrow goes. I'm excited. Saturday game. What's your score prediction?
Tomorrow, man, we usually do pretty good against Herbert.
Right. I think like a 17-14 game. I can kind of see it going either way. Chargers are on a downfall.
17, probably.
I can see 17-14.
If they don't let Harbaugh just outcoach them.
Right. Which they haven't been good the last. They're on a 3-game losing streak, I think, and their defense is starting to kind of come apart. So I think this is the best time to face them. But I mean, I don't want to say we're going to win,
Who
but
covers Lad though? Because Gonzo, you're not gonna have Gonzo in the slot.
it, it has to be Gonzo. Either
But I mean,
that or like
he's gonna be in
Marcus
the slot.
Jones. Marcus Jones or Jonathan Jones, right? They're kind of
Yeah,
similar body
they're gonna.
types.
You know, Lad's gonna eat up that slot. I doubt they're gonna put Lad anywhere near Gonzo. I
If
feel like they're gonna.
Gonzo covers Quentin Johnson, though, I would be so fucking mad.
Yeah,
dude
put Alex
is
Austin
so
on him.
bad.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
I'll rather I'll rather cover what's his name, Parbs.
Josh Palmer. Yeah.
Yeah, Palmer.
If
Josh
I see
Palmer.
Quentin Johnson and Gonzo lined up, I'm going to throw my remote through the screen.
Yeah, throw Alex Austin over there because you already know like Quentin Johnson's such a like we didn't talk about it.
Well, yeah, see how it goes. But
That's
all
a
right.
good one though, bro.
Yeah. See ya.
Oh.
37-year-old. We're on to Cincinnati. It's nothing about the past, nothing about the future. It's right now we're preparing for Cincinnati.
Okay, do you feel like the talent you have here is good enough?
We're getting ready for Cincinnati.
What is your responsibility?
I'm just asking, do you think you've done enough to help Tom Brady?
We're getting ready for Cincinnati. Stupid thing.